Hi, I'm Diane McGarry.
And I'm Tom McGarry.
We're from Dracut Arts. With us today is glassblower Aaron Slater, whose work will be in our art gallery for our Dracut Arts March 19th event. Aaron Slater is a self-taught glass artist. He has been working with glass since 2001. Growing up, Aaron spent much of his time in the woods of New Hampshire, an amateur naturalist of sorts, observing nature through his trusting, magnifying glass, and sometimes setting it on fire. But it was his first snorkeling trip to the reefs of New Mexico that changed his appreciation for the natural world forever. Going from the woods of New England to the tropical coral reef was like traveling to an inhabited alien planet, he says. It was thrilling for me. I love that image. The love of nature and the love of fire continues to inspire Aaron as he creates his works by manipulating hot glass in the flame of a torch, a process called flame working. Maybe he'll tell us a little bit more about that in a minute. And now he lives and works in Lowell, but he travels back to dive the reefs of Mexico every year. Boy, that must have been challenging to do this year, Aaron.
Oh yeah. Well, normally sometime around February, but probably not going to happen. Sadly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
but yeah, let me go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're so glad to have you with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yeah, I know. It's exciting. Yeah, it's fun. I don't get I work alone in the studio, and so this is like getting out on the town for me these days.
So how did you actually get into glass blowing of all artwork? Why did you pick that one?
It kind of fell in my lap in a way. The minute I saw glass blowing, I was fascinated with it, and I think like I kind of you said in that statement, I had a passion for art and craft, making things, taking things apart, and also a little bit of pyro in me, maybe. I was always kind of experimenting at my dad's workbench, whatever I could run electricity through, or drill or set on fire or whatever, so when I first saw glass blowing, it fascinated me, but the pursuit to find an avenue to learn it was very long, and with a lot of closed doors and no's, for sure. I asked a lot of people.
It's not a very present artwork. I mean, not a lot of people do glass blowing.
No, and you know what? There's been a huge explosion of it, though, for sure. I mean, since when I started to now, there's probably a lot. There's a lot more people working with glass, especially in lamp working, and which is what I do. Oh. And what lamp working is melting glass with torches. So the glass blowing that most people are familiar with would be called furnace working or offhand working, or so where you're melting glass in a furnace and reheating it in a glory hole, and the scale of it is kind of large with big metal punties, blow tubes, and flame working is really sort of the same techniques scaled down to work at a smaller heat source, which is a torch. So I use a big bench mounted torch. I'm working at a bench in the flame, manipulating the glass in the same ways, same techniques, but kind of scaled down. So it's more accessible. The initial investment is not as big in equipment. So that is one of the reasons why there's a lot more people blowing glass now, is because of the accessibility of the flame working art form, But yeah, I asked at least 5 or 6 glass blowers from age 13, when I first melted beer bottles in my dad's workbench.
Beer bottles?
Yeah, with his plumbing torches. I saw a special on Chihuly on PBS. I remember it very, very well. And then I was super inspired, and I started trying to melt glass in the basement. And
wow.
So from then till when someone said yes,
about that?
Probably didn't know. What he did know, he was probably scared about, but yeah, I don't, it's a good question.
Well, because I watched your video, you have a video out that's really nice. It's a little bit long to show on this show because it's 7 minutes long, but it's really nice. And the first thing about making a marble, And the first thing you talk about is the safety. You talk about how the flame, the smoke, and the hot air is going to go out through the chimney, and how you have all these metal parts around you protecting you. You put on glasses, you put on protective gear for yourself. So, which I loved. I loved that you did that, because so often we forget about this safety when we get so excited about doing things, you know. Actually, I had the same problem. I gave my children when they were little, your children's age. Aaron's children are 3 and 5 right now. And I gave them small hammers and stones and let them go outside. And I gave them little stools to make and a hand drill, and they would make 3-legged stools, right? But it took me a while. Actually, it took my son breaking a really hard rock and getting a chip in his eye for me to realize, oh my God, they should have safety glasses on. It never occurred to me, you know. But you're talking about fire, which needs even more. I mean, you need to have an exit for that. You need some type of extinguisher available. I mean, we had a chimney fire last year, so I'm really up on having a chimney. You know?
Okay, yeah, definitely. You know, it's something I don't think about that much anymore, and I think because it's second nature, like this. And I teach. The video you're talking about was geared towards basically like K through 4th graders. I was doing sort of an artist in residency, and I made that video to help teach them, you know, kind of bring them in the studio. And so I definitely focus on the safety for that, like you're saying.
Well, it's so important.
For the kids.
Yeah.
Especially. But yeah, I teach in the studio, so I'm going over the safety stuff every day, and it helps me, you know, stay focused on it. You know, if you work with fire long enough, you're going to get burned, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So it stays present in your mind. That pain is a good educator.
As long as you don't get too burned, that, you know, you don't.
Yeah.
You have to be really careful. That's
definitely. Yeah.
So let's take a minute and see if I can figure out how to share the screen and show all of your works here. Oh dear. I went
thank you.
big screens before I shared, so that's my problem.
No, that's fine. I'm looking forward to showing the work off. It's and like you said, a lot of my work is marbles. So yeah, here is one. And I called this one Reticello, which is kind of a play on reticello, which is an old Venetian glass blowing design. This is kind of the back, and then we're going to see the front in a second here, what I would consider the front.
Oh my gosh.
So all of the colors you're seeing on the inside of here are made out of gold and silver. So that marble was one that was produced.
Wow. Oh, wait, whoops. Sorry. I should have kept
that. That's fine. In a, so this one is nudibranch. And these nudibranch are a type of venomous sea slug. And, you know, going back to my inspiration coming from the coral reef, these little super colorful poisonous sea slugs that live in the reefs are really the inspiration for these marbles. And they're kind of what would I call it? Science fiction take. I take liberties with the anatomy and taking elements of real creatures and cut, you know, certain part, but you know, so the very edge actually where it stores the poison. So that's part of the journey for me, is kind of understanding the made up anatomy.
Oh, and here's going to be a short one on how to make a marble. This is, oh no, this is the long one. We can't do
this is the one I was talking about. I think maybe there was a longer one.
No, this is 7 minutes, so we can't do the whole thing.
Okay.
Right here is my little gallery space where I show off my work to people that come and visit my studio. I have it displayed here under nice lights. And then next,
there's me without a beard.
Here where I teach classes. So every student sits at their own torch, and I teach them how to blow glass here. Come on over here. I'll show you where I work.
And this is the part that I really love because you have so much good space and you're so careful about.
This is my workbench. This is my torch that I use to melt glass. This is my ventilation hood that pulls all the gases from the flame away. And then behind me, you'll see my color glass. So this is my palette. These are like all the crayons in my box of crayons that I can use to create all the different colors that go into my work. The other raw materials that I use to make glass are tubes of glass. See, this is hollow like a tube.
Those are amazing.
So that's really kind of how it comes.
This one.
Wow, so there are different thicknesses, huh?
And
Yeah, different diameters, different thicknesses. Some are tubing and then rods. And again, rods from
size one in a small size.
tiny up to, especially with the marbles, I use some really large diameter ones.
So do you put the different colors in the rods and then burn it together?
Clear glass and the color.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, kind of.
Let's fire it up. But before
all of the
we do,
materials get melted in the flame of the torch. A lot of times to achieve the details that I'm achieving, there's, you know, a lot of prep work, making elements that then get processed in different ways. You know, sometimes cold working, cutting on with diamond saws and grinding and polishing, and then bringing back to the torch and adding back into the hot process. So say, you know, one of the marbles you showed a minute ago, most of those, so the few that we just looked at were probably each like maybe a 4-hour process. So, so my average marble is maybe 2 or 3 hours, but I have some that take me a few days, you know, prepping, making all the elements and then bringing them together in the end.
Neat.
It looks like you do marbles of different sizes. Do you have a favorite size, or you know, how do you pick, or what's going on there?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there is kind of a sweet spot for me that's kind of somewhere around here, I think. And why that is, you know, that's a good question. It's funny. So one thing I would say is that there's certain of the marbles that people say, oh, can you make me one this big? And they want something this big, you know, and in theory, I can make something that large, but because of the way I'm manipulating the materials, there's a process with the colors where so the thing that makes the colors is generally metals in crystalline form, and some of them are recrystallizing within the matrix of the glass as I'm working it. So I'm actually putting those metals back into solution and then letting them recrystallize during the cooling process to create the colors. And the mass of the sphere controls that cooling and heating cycle. So when the mass gets that big, it can make it impossible for me to achieve the colors that I usually achieve. So there are some like technical limitations to some of the processes I use, you know. So some of my designs scale and some of them they just don't, you know. Yeah, which has been a learning process for sure.
Yeah, everything's a learning curve, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, artists often see limits as springboards to creativity.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I tried to.
So did you do a whole alphabet series? Because I was only able to find the N.
I didn't. I participated in an alphabet marble series, so I was given the N marble to do, and this is 2011. So this is
2012. Yeah.
Okay. The marble is signed 2011. I guess it was around that time.
Oh, you signed them?
Oh, it does say it's 212 up there. I guess I made it before the. Yeah, you could see the signature on that one as I was turning it, but
sorry, I missed it.
no, that's fine. It's just Yeah.
I love the intricacy. It's so neat. And the way you work with the different colors and the layers there in the middle is just amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this is another one where these colors are made by melting sticks of colored glass together. The colors on the other side that we're seeing are
Right.
made out of pure gold and silver. And what I'm doing is heating up the metal until it starts vaporizing,
Oh,
and
wow.
then passing clear glass through those vapors to condense thin films of metal on the surface, and then adding more glass over that to capture that. So it's really just thin membranes of pure metal, creating those colors. So it's really translucent but reflective, but kind of refracting the light into the color. So it's a fascinating process.
That's neat.
And more of the alchemy, which kind of is intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I think glass is always one of the things I think that attracts me to glass the most is that for me, it allows me to explore the technical and creative at the same time.
This is more of your coral reefs, which is wonderful.
Yeah. This is a coral reef marble. And this series has been I've been working on since the very beginning of working with glass. So this is really kind of the thread that ties everything together, I feel.
There's so many colors and such intricacy to how these are put together.
Thank you. Yeah, for me, these are about representing real species of corals to the best of my ability.
Well, you definitely do.
Thank you. Yeah, I really try not to make anything up. I try to really just find real species and do my best at representing them.
Well, that's why you have to go to that's why you have to go to Mexico every year, right? To see more.
Yes, don't have to, but
Twist your arm to get you down there.
Right, yeah.
When you are able to go, do you go by yourself or you take your family and they're around but not really directly observing the coral, or how do you do that?
So it really has become a family trip, and there's a extended family, and a lot of us do snorkel, and so we end up picking a spot where we can really have some good access to snorkeling. Right. And actually last year, for the first time, my wife and I got scuba certified.
Oh, wow.
So we were looking forward to going back this year and doing some more scuba diving. So that was something I'd always wanted to do, but really could never afford. And so I'm excited about that, having done that. So
I bet you never wanted to run into one of these jellyfish, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That one looks dangerous. This actually is a collaboration between myself and another artist. So he made the jellyfish, I made the coral reef, and then and put his jellyfish into it.
Oh, wow.
And this was for a series that I did called Bleached Reefs. It was a series of 10 marbles, numbered limited series, and I auctioned them all off and gave half of the money to towards reef conservation organizations. So that was another project that was on my mind for a long time, and I was happy to finally get a chance to do it. Yeah.
Since the other artist made the jellyfish, is there a different technique? I'm not sure how to, the right vocabulary to add the already made object to the marble you're making, so it doesn't just kind of dissolve into whatever else is in the object you're making?
Yeah, it's a challenge. There's some ways, what I do is a lot of putting lots of elements together to make a marble. So I'm very used to it, and I have a lot of tools in my tool belt. Hey guys, I got my kids are right here. You want to get on here? Come over for a second, be on the show.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Julian.
Hey.
And this is Remy. Remy is too short.
Hi.
Thanks, guys. All right, go ahead. Thanks, guys. So I have a lot of tools in my tool belt for achieving those things, but yeah, putting two things together without distorting, smearing, you know, twisting, and is definitely a challenge. And over the years, you know, I kind of have developed a few techniques. And when you try to do a collaboration with somebody else, sometimes I just don't, you know, like I have some things on my bench right now that people that I'm, you know, that I just haven't figured out how to incorporate them into my work, you know. Maybe
It
someday.
must be difficult, a real challenge, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's why you do it though, for sure. That's one of those things. Doing collaborative work is definitely about pushing yourself and yeah, forcing yourself into an uncomfortable corner, right?
Yeah. It's like
So
really neat.
I just
Yeah,
realized I was asking a dumb question. You usually, or at least often, add your own made objects to your marbles. So
Right, because
yeah,
there's
but
another
that
jellyfish in there.
situation was
Not that
definitely
unusual.
different. Yeah. This is sure, in a little while, bud, okay? Okay. This was a kind of a different take on the coral reef, where I was putting the corals down in kind of the darkness and hiding things off in the horizon. So you see, as I'm spinning it back behind the coral, there's a little squid and swimming, and you saw the jellyfish before.
Yeah. Right, and behind there,
It's not in great focus, but
well, it is what it is. It's okay.
yeah,
Lovely.
before I got my better camera.
It's hard to have everything.
Yeah, thank you for showing those videos. It's awesome.
And let's see. I know you wanted to show this one, so let me get it up here. Whoops.
Oh yeah.
To start at the beginning. Hold on. Sorry. Pause.
So this is something I did very recently. I call the bubble protector, and this was
Very playful.
This is straightforward, straight up. It was something in my sketchbook for a long time, but really like not having any work going on because of COVID allowed me to really pursue this, or gave me the headspace. So I feel like this is like totally quarantine work, and I had so much fun, and I've been having so much fun with it. And I really think of it as a performance piece, you know. But the interesting thing that's happened with it is, you know, people have been wanting them, but also as I've been playing with it, it's become sort of this science lesson for me, because if you let the bubble will stay for days in there.
Really?
And what happens is slowly that iridescence of the bubble slowly fades from the top down.
Oh,
And then
wow.
you'll come in like after 20 hours and it'll be like half and half. The top half will be totally clear and the bottom half will still have that like soapy iridescence.
Wow.
And then it'll go all the way out. And so I've been researching like what soap bubbles are, and I to try to figure out what's going on. And I think what it is the soap coats a membrane of water and allows that bubble to form. And if you make a bubble that's just a dome, a half dome, those water molecules will stay stacked in a dome by themselves without the soap if they're really protected like that. So you're seeing like this sort of pure water dome.
Whoa.
I don't know. That's my theory. I'm not a scientist, but yeah. So that led me down a great rabbit hole. I've been having a lot of fun.
I like rabbit holes myself.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Let's see.
Have you ever tried working the other techniques of glass? I forget what you called them.
Oh yeah, I call it furnace working. I did, you know, I went to Haystack Mountain School of Craft up in Maine.
Oh yeah.
A while back, and did a you know, like a week session at the furnace. Yeah, that was really great. They offer they offer scholarships, so you know, wash dishes part of the day and take a class, and that place is amazing. Yeah, so back before I had kids.
Right.
Yeah. So
also,
it did help me. I was introduced to some tools that I wasn't using in my practice that I do now, you know. So that definitely did expand my knowledge of my process. But I'm terrible at the furnace.
You're terrible. So you see this, I see a lot of your work is all about almost the coral reefs. Do you do anything about the New Hampshire mountains that you've spent so much time in?
Oh, it's a good question. No, there's connections for sure. I mean, for me, when not like here's an example that's fresh in my mind. It wasn't long ago, I was up at the top of a mountain looking at lichen through my magnifying glass, and it's almost the same thing. It's
Right.
really fascinating, when you get to the right scale with, with an ecosystem, the fascination is kind of the same, and the biology and the geometry, so for me, a lot of times it's the coral really shows the geometry of nature.
Uh-huh.
So like there's sort of repeating patterns that break down in a certain way, and like I think that's when I see that, it ties to all of the ecosystems that I see, and why they're so beautiful and fascinating. But yeah, one of my other passions is bonsai, and I'm big into it. And I've had multiple people say like, "How come you're not making bonsai marbles?" And it just, I don't know.
So you like the small and the intricate. It's interesting because as you were talking about the lichen, actually last year we had a painter who she would use her cell phone to take pictures underneath, right, where you can't really see underneath the part of the tree that's down under, right, and the mushrooms and all that lichen. And then she would make huge canvases of this really tiny world. So she was blowing it up. You are taking the bigger world and you're making it smaller. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it's the opposite. It's really cool. It's very cool.
Oh,
And
that is
bonsai
interesting.
does the
Yeah,
same
I hadn't
thing
thought
with the
that way. I like
controlling
that.
and the twisting. That's neat.
Oh yeah, the movement. I mean, the form of the marble also is just from the beginning. First with glass, I think I wanted to put things inside,
Yeah, sure, of course.
and so that was like, I want things inside, and so, but then coming to the sphere, I mean, it's such a perfect form,
Well,
and people always ask, do you play marbles? Did you play a lot as a kid? And it's really not about the game. It's
no.
really about the sphere.
Well,
Sure.
and that's what we live on, this beautiful Earth sphere.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your craft with us, Aaron. It's wonderful. I can't wait to see your art show in March.
Oh,
Yay!
great. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you all. Please come to our event on Saturday, March 19th. It will be online. We're all being health conscious and careful here. Let's see, it's from 1 to 2. Then we'll have our author of the day, and then from 3 to 4. And then the art gallery will open again from 5 to 6. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Great,
take
Aaron.
care.
This is wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, both of you.